for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is a creator and connector who fosters hope and healing through art, music, storytelling, and community. None other than Miss Tamara Fyke.
Thank you, Daniel. It's good to be with you.
Welcome once again, Miss Tamara, for one of my podcasts. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yes, I am Tamara from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm an artist, a creative entrepreneur, and I love using the work that I do to help bring hope and healing to others.
Yes, definitely. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Tamara. Thank you. And today let's talk about Lost Girl No More. Have you owned your story? Accept yourself as a beloved and embrace the healing power of community. So
Mhm.
let's start with the lost girl is a powerful archetype. How do you define her? Not just by her pain, but her core longings and inherent strength that we are waiting to be reclaimed.
Yes, such an important question, Daniel. So, The Lost Girl No More is actually the title of an art show that I created and curated back in the fall of 2025 for the first time. And Lost Girl is one of my key paintings. I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually in the back behind me on the screen. That just happened. I didn't know that it's fortuitous. But it really came out of my own personal journey of accepting the fact that I was dealing with a lot of codependency in my life. And that codependency was causing me to be more concerned about what others thought of me than what I thought of myself. And therefore, I was silencing my own story and trying to make myself smaller in order to make other people feel more comfortable. And so, through um, journaling, through therapy, through lots of conversations with friends and family members, I was able, and through my art, I was able to come to a place of accepting some of the really difficult things that I had been through in my own life, starting in childhood, progressing through my adulthood, and being able to see these experiences, such as um, a really unhealthy marriage, infertility, a spouse's cancer journey, some abuse that had happened along the way, that I could, instead of seeing these as isolated events, I could see them as part of a story, my own story, and own them. And then also, instead of feeling shame or fear because of those negative experiences, I could turn them on their head and see how they could empower me to be stronger. So that's Lost Girl No More. And what I found through the art exhibit back in the fall, I did a show here in Nashville and then I did a show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, is that my story resonated with other people, men, women, young, old, black, white. I mean, it didn't matter. Um, and what I found was I was actually giving them permission to share the pains and disappointments that they themselves had experienced. And so we became lost children on a journey toward discovering our true nature as the beloved.
Interesting, Miss Tamara. Indeed, interesting. So, what are the signature stories, internal narratives about unworthiness, brokenness, or not enoughness that most commonly keep women trapped in lost girl chapter of her life?
Oh, wow. You have the best questions, Daniel. Can I just
Thank
say?
you. Thank you.
Yes. Um, some of those narratives, yes, all of that. I mean, it's we don't feel like we're enough, or we feel like we're too much. We don't feel like we're worthy. Um, I think, at least I can't speak for every woman. I can speak for me and my experience. It started with abuse that I experienced as a child, and how that deconstructed my ability to trust, um, and put me on guard with everyone. I would also say that having that reinforced over time, the shame reinforced over time, just through the awkwardness of growing up. And because I was a kid, I didn't have the tools to deal with that pain. And so when you don't have the tools to deal with it, and parents they're doing the best they can, right? Um, it can be a almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. The narrative inside my head was so negative that then it just kept repeating and repeating and repeating and became more ingrained in my psyche. So it really has taken me a lifetime to identify what those false messages were that I was believing, and bring them out of hiding in my own head and heart and say, is there truth to this? Do I need to believe this any longer? Or can I let this go? Um, and one of the books that, I know we're going to get to this later too, but one of the books that was key for me along my journey the past several years was Captivating by Stacey Eldridge and her husband, John Eldridge. And they talk a great deal about the inherent value of women and what our place is in this world. And so I think that whole conversation about women's place and women's value, women's contribution, is something that over my lifetime we've come to be more open about. But certainly, even when I was a kid, I mean, it was very clear a woman's place was in the home, and don't you leave there. And if you did think outside those four walls, then you were a rebel of some sort. So I'm really glad that we've expanded our definition of what womanhood looks like, and we're making space for females in all the different places of our world.
The shift begins with moving from being a story, I am broken, the owning the story. This happened to me and I survived it. What is the first crucial step in making that linguistic and existential shift?
For me, it was grief. It was being able to acknowledge that I was holding on to not only a lot of shame, but a lot of grief. That there were parts of my story that I needed to let myself be sad about and be okay with that sadness, sit in that sadness for a while. And also acknowledge that life isn't fair. Not for me, not for anybody. Sometimes life just be lifing. And and those are those are some of the things I think that, especially in a world full of Hallmark movies and social media, we can get a glitzy idea of what is the perfect relationship or what is the perfect world that we should all aspire to. And the truth is, there's no perfect world. It just is what it is. And it contains beauty and it contains pain. And somewhere in the midst of that bittersweet is really the quality and joy that we can find in being human.
Indeed, being human, Ms. Tamara, and very well said. So let's talk about the radical pivot from performance to being the beloved. Accept
Mhm.
yourself as the beloved is a radical, even countercultural idea. How do you guide someone to embrace this felt reality?
Yes, I appreciate you saying that it's countercultural. I think so much it's the way that I've come to think of myself and really think about other people. So it seems normal to me that I forget that it is countercultural, because we do have that performance aspect to our world. Um, for me personally, I am a woman of faith. And so that is the that's where I start. And not only for myself, but for my relationships with other people. And whether I'm overtly sharing my faith or covertly sharing my faith, that's where it all begins for me. And one of the things that I've heard back from other people, some of the feedback they give me is that they feel like I'm able to accept them non-judgmentally and see them for who they are, and that just makes them feel safe. So I think that's a big part of us knowing that we are beloved is is first of all no, having a sense of safety for ourselves and then being able to extend that safety to others to say just come as you are, warts and all, and you can be yourself here and let's grow together.
Let's grow together. I like that, Miss Tamara. This work often requires unlearning a lifetime of conditioning to achieve, to please, to earn love. What is the most challenging piece of that conditioning to dismantle and why?
Ooh, I think for me, I mean, I'm going to be echoing some of what we've talked about before, either through your questions, which again are amazing, or some of the things that I've shared. Um, there is a performative nature in our world of like you got to do this, you got to be the straight A student, or you've got to have the job that's 150K a year, or you've got to live in the big house in the richest part of town. Like we're always striving for bigger and better. And the honest truth is that just because you have the bigger and better thing doesn't mean that you're happier. um, Joy comes from knowing that you're safe and that you're loved. And so I think the more that we can let go of those attachments to the physical world, the material world, and find the peace within, serenity within, the more satisfied that we'll be. And the more we'll, again, be able to accept ourselves and other people for where they are.
Well, Miss Tamara, very well said. So let's talk about the alchemy of healing, where solitude meets community. Healing is a deeply personal, yet the subtitle emphasizes the healing power of community. How
Mhm.
do you navigate the essential tension between sovereign inner work and the irreplaceable need for witnessing, mirroring, and holding by others?
Yes. While I was in the throes of my Lost Girl No More journey, I was part of a faith community where I was seeing people, the same people on a regular basis. So I was seeing them every week, multiple times a week. And even though I wasn't talking about all the inner stuff that was happening, they were at least checking in on me. Like, how are you feeling today? What's going on in your world? How are your kids? How's your business? Like things like that. And just knowing that I had those people to cheer me on, even if we didn't have a deep conversation about it all, um, kept me going. And then there were those that I did feel more comfortable opening up to, cried with, shared my tears and anger and frustration with at different points of my journey. Um, so, yeah, it really is a balance between doing that deeply personal work, as you said, and having people. It's knowing that I'm not alone, right? And the more that I live in this newness of life, the more that I've come to appreciate that I can extend that same truth to others and let them know, hey, you are not alone. You are not alone in this. We're in this together. And I know I keep coming back to that statement, but it's so true. Daniel. We really do need each other.
Yes, we need each other, people. Even the universe, we are interconnected. We cannot
Hmm.
live without one of those. So, can you describe the moment or process when a private story, once shared in safe community, alchemizes from sources of shame into source of strength and connection?
Yeah, I can't. I think one of the things about me is that I can be really private and not talk for a while, but then once I start talking, once I start sharing what's going on, I can be incredibly vulnerable. And what I have found is that when I open up that way, people will say, "Oh, your vulnerability is giving me permission to be vulnerable." You sharing about the challenges that you're having with your adult children lets me know that I'm not the only parent who's dealing with hardships with their adult kids. Or your feelings of insecurity or not enoughness is letting me know that I'm not the only woman who is dealing with that, even though she's had a career, So I think that that's been part of it for me is just taking those baby steps and realizing that as I open up and share more of who I am, open my heart, that it gives permission to other people to open their hearts too. It's not easy though. I mean, sometimes it's downright scary, Daniel, because it's like, oh no, what are they going to say about me? What are they going to? But honestly, I think that's one of the gifts of getting older. I don't care as much about I don't care as much about the judgment. I'm really focused on how can I be more whole? How can I be more healthy so that I can be a better conduit of love in this world?
Yes, indeed. Don't care what people say about you, people. Just go, 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 and do the legacy that you can bring to the world and share to the world itself. So, Miss Tamara, as a creator and connector, can you please recommend a book or books that influenced your journey?
Yes. One of the other, I know I mentioned captivating earlier, and Brene Brown is also an author that I really enjoy. But another book that was transformational for me last January was Bittersweet by Susan Cain. And that book just really helped open me up to the conversation with grief and shame in my own life and helped me see I'm not alone. I think that's one of the beauties of reading books, right? Is that we can either use them as an escape from our real world and go, be transformed into these beautiful places and spaces, or we can use them as a mirror um, to help us see ourselves and let us know that we're not the only ones going through this very human experience.
Thank you for the recommended books, Miss Tamara. And can you please give an advice for those people out there who want to be a connector as well as a creator?
Ooh, yes. I think being willing to share your art, whether, I mean, I mentioned the art shows that I had last fall and getting ready to have another one this spring. But I'm also a writer and I'm also a singer. So I'm sharing my stories regularly online. I'm also getting ready to share some new music later this year. And using those not just for the sake of me creating, but me connecting. It might seem like a slight difference, but here's I'm try to unpack this a little bit. How do I use the creative work that I do to build a bridge? How do I use the creative work that I do to help unlock somebody else's heart so that they can get to these caverns inside that maybe they haven't looked at before or explored before? Um, then again, it goes back to that whole idea of conversations. How can we cultivate conversations with one another that then let us know that we're not alone.
Yes, people, we're not alone. Even the universe, we're not alone. For sure, there's some alien over there that like us. We are not alone. So, Miss Tamara, please do come over on Music 101 and let's talk about the music that you're producing, please.
That would be great.
Awesome. Well, my Music 101 is already in fifth season. So please do come over
Wow.
and let's talk about the music that we're producing and let's promote to the world. So, what is the most boundary a person needs to learn to set on this journey with themselves and with the others? And thank you for that inspiring advice.
Oh, so setting boundaries. I One of the things that I've learned, especially over the past 18 to 24 months, is that it's okay for me to say, I don't have the capacity for that right now. I mean, it can be as simple as my friend says, "Hey, let's meet up and go to dinner," or "Let's go for a walk." And an hour, 2 hours beforehand, I'm like, you know what? I just can't do it. I need to go to bed. So I think recognizing my own limits instead of pushing all the time. Um, and I mentioned this on the other podcast that we've done before, um, abstract essay, but the power of sleep. I'm telling you, Daniel, there's something really integral for our health and well-being and guarding that. Like, I love my bed, and there are times if I've had a big day or just processing a lot, I'll be in bed by 8 o'clock. I'm not ashamed to say that because I need that time to be alone. I need the time to process. I need the regenerative time for my body. So I would say keeping those boundaries for our own health and well being, whether that's alone time or sleep, or another thing that I'm a big fan of is yoga. So just doing that breath work. It's At first I didn't really get it. Now I'm like in year 17 or 18 of yoga, and I think I'm starting to understand the power of the breath and how when we sync up our breathing with our body movement, how restorative. I was even reading an article from the BBC, I think it was this morning, on how breathing like that and doing yoga, moving like that on a regular basis can help rewire our brains in a positive way, increasing our gray matter. So those are three suggestions I would have.
Yes, and thank you for that, Miss Tamara. So, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and my book 101 review in sixth season too, comedy 101 third season, and my food 101 in sixth season as well, geography 101 love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 our fifth season, science 101, sex 101 fourth season, and spiritual awakening trivia 101, law 101, mental health 101, motivation 101, entrepreneurship 101, and Bible verses 101 on my baby podcast. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Tamara, looking back on your own path from lost girl to, well, person who will guide us, that what is the journey taught you about the nature of love, both for self and of course in the universe.
Oh, it does start with me. I think that's one of the ahas that I've had over the last couple years, Daniel, is that I do need to accept and love who I am first. And out of that self acceptance, then I'm really able to champion other people. And in my book, love for God, love for myself, love for other people, that's the most important thing.
love, love, love. So, Miss Tamara, can you please invite the listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yes, thank you so much, Daniel. You can follow along at tamaracreates.com. Find me on Instagram at Tamara Creates, Threads, Facebook, all Tamara Creates. Would love to see you there. You can purchase Love in a Big World curriculum, find out more about the art, tune in for the music. Would love to have you on the journey.
Yes, people, tune in for Music 101. Miss Tamara will be my guest, and I hope she will sing with us. An a cappella, people. Was tune in for that. We're gonna live on all social media, and I hope I can help her to promote her music itself. So, Miss Tamara, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Have a great day.
What can people see you soon?